Alex here, welcome to Wingfoil College. In this video, I'm going to look at people's very first attempts at wingfoiling and see what can be learnt from that. Thanks very much to everybody that shared footage for this project. You can see their links in the description. Let's begin with some clips from professional windsurfer Karo van Tonder. Because of her extensive windsurf background, she had little trouble while the board was on the water. Most people will need much more time working on this taxiing stage. On her first foil flights, however, everything is new and she runs into the same issue a few times. Can you tell what's happening? I call this a toeside trap. Let's look at what causes it. The board is almost level, with a slight toeside roll. And the foiler's body is leant towards the toeside rail. This is a big problem since the hand wing's force is also pulling partly towards toeside. In this position you have no ability to balance even a little force from the wing, and inevitably you wind up getting pulled off the toeside rail. You can avoid the toeside trap by using a slight hillside roll and a slight lean towards the hillside rail. This slight lean will be enough to balance the small forces needed from the hand wing while foiling. Interestingly, here's a clip of Karo from her third session wingfoiling where she almost gets caught in the toeside trap, but does a great job of getting out of it. She uses her finesse with a sail here. You can see she's holding the hand wing at a low angle of attack, basically as depowered as possible. With almost no force on the hand wing, she's able to get some weight back towards the hillside rail and get out of the toeside trap. Interestingly, here we see the opposite problem, the hillside trap. I remember doing just this during my first flight on the foil. If your weight is lent too far towards the hillside rail, then the force you get out of your hand wing might not be enough to keep you balanced. You will then drop towards hillside. In this clip, the hillside trap begins to happen and Karo has a go at fixing it. She tries powering the wing to pull her forward and shifting her weight towards toeside. If she'd done this just slightly earlier, it would have worked. To avoid this issue in the first place, try staying a bit more upright. You can see that by the end of the third session, she's figuring out these problems. She's got the board in a hillside roll, but not too much. And she has her weight back towards hillside, just enough to balance the wing's force. She's doing this by leaning her hips back. This does work, although with experience, you'll find a stronger stance comes from leaning your shoulders back instead and keeping your hips a bit more forwards. Next, we have an extremely common wingfoiling mistake that people make during takeoff attempts. Many people shift weight to the back foot, trying to take off, before they have the speed needed to take off. This is a problem because taxiing with a heavy back foot greatly increases drag. If the wind is light, this could even prevent you gaining the speed needed to foil. Look at this comparison. Here, I'm pumping the hand wing while applying loads of back foot pressure. You can see my pitched up board with the tail sunk deeply creates a lot of drag. I then fail to gain the speed needed to take off. Here, on the other hand, I start pumping the hand wing with the board almost level, its nose close to the water. Drag is greatly reduced and now it's easier to pick up speed. Once takeoff speed is exceeded, a small weight shift onto the back foot is all that's required to take off. Next, we look at some wing handling issues. At first, you're likely to do a lot of wing tip catching like this. To avoid this, firstly, keep the front hand fairly high. If you lower the front hand, the whole wing lowers and you're more likely to catch the water. Secondly, use your backhand to help steer or rotate the wing. Pushing across the strut like this will tilt the wing more, making the leading edge more upright and lowering the wing tip. Pushing across the strut like this will level or raise the wing more overhead, making the leading edge more horizontal and lifting the wing tip. You can use this skill to avoid catching the wingtip. The next example is also a wing tilting issue. In this case, the rider was trying to keep the speed needed to foil. In this example, keeping the wing too overhead was a problem. Keeping the leading edge more horizontal does help avoid hitting the wing into the water. However, it also means the force from the wing is more vertical. If we split that force into components, you see that it means you're getting more lift, but less forwards drive or thrust to keep you foiling. By comparison, as you tilt the wing, you get less lift, but more forwards drive or thrust. Of course, you then have to be more careful about catching the wingtip on the water. In this case, tilting the wing more would have given the extra thrust that the rider was looking for. Although, I would note that it's better to start with lots of short flights anyway. If you try long flights too soon, you're more likely to lose control of your speed. Here is an example of the opposite problem. The wing foiler gets too much thrust. Looking at the water's surface, you can see what the wind is doing. Here the water is glassy or reflective. That means minimal wind. Here the surface is matte and roughed up. That's a gust of wind. You can see that the gust reaches the wing foiler while they have the wing slightly lowered. The force on the wing is enough to pull the rider towards toeside and make their wing hit the water. To survive a gust like this, quickly raise the wing overhead and push away the backhand. This location, it should be noted, is a lake with tall trees upwind of the wing foiler. That means that the wind has to go around these large objects just before it reaches the wing foiler, making the wind much more erratic. Wingfoiling is a gust-resistant wind sport, but only once you know what you're doing. When you're learning, it's worth the effort to travel to a location with clean wind and fairly flat water. That will help you get through the learning stages much more quickly, and before you know it, you'll be able to handle a wider range of conditions. All the issues I've looked at are covered in more detail in the Learn to Wingfoil playlist. Thanks very much to Karo, Andreas, Jens, Yannick and his brother for sharing their footage. They have some interesting videos documenting what it's like to learn to wingfoil. You can find those in the description. Good luck learning to wingfoil. If you have any experiences or questions to share, please do add them in the comments section.